So the Flames just had 9 days off. Is it enough to right the ship? We're not sure. Dylan and Chris are going to talk about it. ArmChair GM Podcast coming at you. Brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network.
Well, Chris, a lot has happened in the last couple weeks since our last show. You and I managed to go do a game together, which was just an absolutely piss poor effort. That was obviously the game Huberto decided to score an absolutely beautiful highlight reel goal in, and still managed to lose 5-1 to Chicago.
I mean, Chicago's one of the elite teams in the league, right? Are they elite?
I know you're kind of losing your head because you're getting up there in age, man, but like it's not 2010 anymore.
Shit.
We're like 12 years past this.
What about Captain Canada? He's elite, right? He's one of the best players in the league.
Sure.
Yeah. Was Kane even at the game?
No, Kane did not play.
Oh, shit. Yeah, so there's no reason why we should have lost that game.
No, they played.
Damn it.
Yeah, they just played an absolutely piss poor shit ass game.
Yep.
Again, that was the most beautiful goal I've seen Huberto score. Luckily, it was live, but that was the first. Really beautiful goal I think he scored as a Flame, and went to waste. The entire team kind of played like fucking complete ass.
Yeah.
It was just painful to watch, and we were there with my buddy and your buddy happens to be both a Chicago and a Calgary fan, and even he was like he's got a team that's rebuilding and a team that's trying to contend, and it like he was pissed off because the team that he wanted to lose won and the team he wanted to win lost.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about it after, and he's just like, even the guy that is a Blackhawks second fan was frustrated. It was like one of the worst games he's ever seen.
Yeah,
it's definitely one of the worst games I've seen live. Like, as far as the energy and play from the Flames, that was horrendous. It was not even worth watching. I'm not happy that we bought tickets to sit there and watch that.
I mean, you'd think that the Calgary Flames would be able to be the rebuilding team. You'd think that they'd be able to skate circles around them, but lo and behold, Max Domi seems to have our number.
Jesus. That's daunting.
Yeah. And then, of course, the next day, everyone started saying, oh, we need to trade for Max Domi. And it's like, just because he's good against us doesn't mean he's good.
Right.
There's a lot of players that are good against us that aren't good.
There's a lot of players that have their first evers and
they're first in a long time. And
first this season or whatever. But of course, then the next day, following that Chicago shit show, we run a train on Seattle.
Yeah. And I was at my sister's place for dinner, and they don't have any sort of streaming stuff. So I was only able to watch the tail end of it when we got back to the hotel, but kind of rewatched quite a bit of it later, and it actually seemed like the Flames kind of learned their lesson from the night before and actually played quite a decent game.
I can only imagine what was said after the Chicago game from Daryl.
Just a fucking stink eye around the room, and then leaves and locks the door.
I feel like there is a little more aggression than just the stink eye, but or not. Who knows? We will never know. We'll
Nope.
never know because I mean it's certainly not going to be leaked to the public.
No.
I'm more concerned with the fact that you didn't use your phone to just watch the game. I mean,
I'm
it's
not gonna.
even at your sister's. I mean, it's just your sister, right?
And her kids and shit. But no, we like.
Kidding.
I'm not gonna sit there and watch hockey on my phone while I'm eating dinner at my sister's place. Like that's fucking rude.
Wow.
I ended up watching, like I said, I ended up watching most of the game afterwards, but
Yeah, I mean, even if you when you got back to the hotel, if you caught the third period, you would have at least had.
well, I've got Sportsnet
goal
now,
or
so
something.
I just replayed it.
Right. See,
Yeah.
the old Sportsnet Now subscription. It works very well.
It does.
Mm.
Anyways, and actually, there was, and I know this is a couple weeks ago, so it's hard to remember, but I remember there being quite a few, actually quite nice plays in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there.
It wasn't all banging crash goals. It was actually like some skilled play.
Yeah, absolutely. I if you remember the Elias Lindholm goal from Toffoli in the first, I really appreciated the lead up to that and how it got to that point. And then of course it was just a couple of minutes later that Toffoli scored off Coleman and Lindholm as well.
Yeah.
It was a much better action game for the Flames. They were way more high paced. They had way more energy, and clearly something woke them up between.
They wanted to be.
night.
It seemed like they wanted to be there. It didn't seem like they wanted to play against Chicago.
Yeah,
it seemed like they all wanted to go home and.
Yeah, and when you hear people go, "Oh, teams will sometimes just play down to their opponent." I mean, that's not an excuse when you're fighting for a wild card spot.
And
it shouldn't be the thing.
It's true though, they do, but that's not an excuse. I don't think I've ever heard anybody use that as an excuse, as in that's okay. I think I hear people say that all the time, as in like, why the fuck do they do this? They need to fucking stop it.
I feel like you haven't been on Facebook in about 7 years. I see it all the time on online.
Yeah, but people aren't saying it like, oh, it's okay. They're just playing down to their opponents. They're saying it's fucking stupid that they're playing down to their opponents and they shouldn't. They're not using it as like an it's okay excuse. They're using it as a what the fuck's wrong with this team?
No, but right after the Chicago game, because there was a lot of that going around, they play down to the opponent conversation, and there was a lot of people that just said, "Yeah, no, it happens. It happens sometimes. It happens. It's fine. There's plenty of season left." And
I get that a lot. The whole there's plenty of season left, and
Yeah.
I don't buy that when you're fucking like, where are we now? We're
1 point out.
1 point out
three,
of a
three
wild
games
card
behind
with games played, and yeah, like it's not looking good. Minnesota, I guess, is we're tied with Minnesota, so that's okay.
Yeah,
but
that's
again,
that's
we've got
okay.
We've played 2 more games. Like it's not okay. That's
It's
the thing.
It's not okay. None of that is okay.
And like
we're 1 point back from Colorado. They're 3 games, right?
Like we're not in a Pacific Division spot.
No.
And we have the Kings in a Pacific Division spot with a -10 goal differential.
Let's not talk about goaltending in this podcast.
Should we not?
No.
Never.
I did that a few weeks ago, and I got angry. And
wouldn't want that on there.
No. And it hasn't gotten better.
Should we instead talk about the 49ers? Never mind.
Shit.
I had to get that in. Sorry.
Wow.
But yeah. So the next game was several days later, 9 days later. You want to talk about the AllStar game, or I like
I didn't watch it.
I was at the bar and looked
I
up every once in a
I
while and sighed heavily and chugged my beer and went and found something else to do.
I literally couldn't offer you a single second of insight on it. I didn't watch a second of it. I didn't watch the skills comp. I had zero interest in it.
If I wasn't
and it
at the
appears
bar
that
and it being on the TV, I wouldn't have watched it. Like
that's
I
fair.
didn't want to give it the extra view because it doesn't deserve views. It's an absolute fucking joke.
Do you know who else didn't care about the All-Star game? The people of Florida. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
How do you have All-Star skills competitions and All-Star games and fill your stadium a quarter?
Yeah, it's a joke. And like I looked up at one point, what were we doing? I can't even remember what we were doing. Probably just drinking, but I looked up and saw fucking Johnny Gaudreau golfing with a fucking hockey stick. I was like,
yeah. The bullshit that they're doing
why?
now, the bullshit they're doing now is just like it's stupid. This is what they're dreaming up to and thinking that it's going to attract more people to watch hockey.
But the thing to me is like, if they want to attract people to watch hockey, then why aren't they showing them hockey? They don't let you watch your own team in your own fucking region.
Right.
Like,
right.
Show them hockey instead of showing them fucking nonsensical dunk tanks and fucking golf and shit.
One of the things that you and I discussed before hitting record on that is, why do you have 8 games one night with 5 of them being at 7:00 Eastern, and then the next night you got 2 games?
Yeah,
like if you want people to watch and you want people to get excited about it, how about even if you have, say, 5 teams starting on one night and 3 of them at 7 Eastern, why not do a 7, a 7:15, a 7:30? So is that even if you're flipping channels, if you want to promote your Rogers and your ESPNs as much as you say you do, then you stagger the start. So is that people will flip through the channels and get to another game where there's actual action and hockey being played instead of an intermission. So what do you do? You got 3 games in intermission. What do? You go out, you go outside, have a smoke, you go upstairs, do whatever, right? You're not engaged in the channel anymore.
And you wouldn't hear so many people bitching about your horrible fucking
That's right. It's
panel people
piss
because
poor planning.
Because they'd be watching hockey instead of listening to Cassie Campbell or whatever.
Right.
Like
and and you and I are amongst the apparently few that are actually Cassie Campbell fans.
Yeah, I don't mind her. I'm not gonna go out there and say, "Oh, she's great," but she's not as bad as people say.
No, not at all. So that's one of the things, right? So if you have 3, 4, 5 games all at intermission, and you're casual fan or you're wanting to bring in new fan, they're just going to turn the team off. They're going to watch Yellowstone. They're going to, you know what I mean? They're going to turn the channel for something else.
Yeah. And then they'll forget about the game.
That's right. Yeah. And so, that's horrible marketing by the NHL and Bettman. That's right. Netflix, gaming, whatever.
Like, that 90s show is on now. Let's watch that instead of fucking whatever.
I know I'm old, but is that show still on?
No, it's that 90s show now. They're growing up and they have kids.
Oh fuck! Thank God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It just came out with was watching it yesterday.
Is that right? Yeah. That's super funny. I didn't even catch on that you actually said 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So my bad, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. It's the exact same thing. It's just teenagers getting stoned in the basement.
Hmm.
That's all it is. Anyways, so we come back from this 9-day hiatus. And let's be honest, the game against the Rangers the other night, 5-4 overtime loss. One of the most entertaining games I've watched in years. I'd say it's right up there with the Vancouver line brawl. I'd say it's right up there with the in that game where Tortorella, went and tried to attack our fucking our locker room in the intermission, and then
Brian McGrattan
stopped him.
Brian McGrattan really held the fort down in the hallway.
He did.
Watching the video of that afterwards, because that wasn't part of the original broadcast initially.
Yeah,
it went to it after the fact. That was amazing.
Yeah,
Big Earn just in the middle of it, and I really wish that Torts would have done something or said something to Brian, because like even the look on his face is like, I'm trying to
not hurt you, but you're gonna make me hurt you.
Yeah, it's like I'm in between periods right now. I want to go to the bathroom, or I want to grab a quick Gatorade and or a sandwich or something. Yeah. You need to fuck off, man.
Yeah,
like the look on his face, just like you've got about 4 seconds to.
I can't believe you're doing this right now.
Yeah, yeah, you're half my size. Knock it off. So I'll give Brian a lot of credit for the reserve and the resolve that he actually showed in that situation.
Yeah,
it was that was pretty amazing.
Yeah. So that game a couple nights ago against the Rangers, again, right up there with that game, right up there with the goalie fight against Edmonton a couple years ago. That top 3 game of the last 15 years for the Flames, I think.
Yeah. I think half of the team spending a few days in Cabo actually built somewhat of a team.
And I remember our buddy Matt sharing all of their vacation pictures from Cabo or wherever the fuck they were. I have no idea where they were, and all I could think of is like, these guys are smiling for the first time publicly in like months. It's great.
It's super easy to smile when you're on the beach and you have tequila in your hand and all that fun stuff.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
No,
right?
you're absolutely right. Like,
but it's team building, quote unquote, right?
That's right.
And I'm happy they chose to go together.
It goes a long ways.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I'm surprised about is that Markstrom chose. I don't know if he chose, but Markstrom didn't go with them to Cabo. I'm surprised that he wasn't part of that whole thing, because if there's somebody that needs to kind of unwind and let loose and just forget about what the fuck's going on with the Flames right now, it's definitely Jacob, right?
Yeah, he definitely let loose. I don't know if you saw the videos of him doing karaoke with fans and shit. That was a thing anyways, but I agree with, probably him going, but maybe, maybe his wife or girlfriend or whatever it is, fiance, whatever it is, maybe they just wanted to chill for a little bit and not go anywhere and just stay home and have that one night out or whatever. I don't know, but
I'm not sure.
It didn't seem to work very well.
But you would think that especially when it comes to a goalie, when you're really wanting to be part of that
high
circle, right? Like, you want to hang out with your defenseman and you want to hang out and just be part of that team. I thought that was actually kind of telling.
Yeah.
Not saying that there's any reason to it. Not saying that he's wanting out or not saying that we're looking to trade him. Obviously, both those things would be
Ridiculous.
ridiculous. To maybe 2-3 years, okay, but
Yeah.
at the moment, I don't think that's the case.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
But yeah,
we can get into that in a bit too.
Yeah. So before we get into that, should we have a quick little break, and we'll come back to it and maybe get into some
Sure.
some conversations as far as players coming and going, and all that fun stuff that this time of the year brings.
Let's do it. Let's hear
All right.
from DraftKings Sportsbook first.
The action never ends at DraftKings Sportsbook, especially this summer, with tons of ways to bet on all your favorite sports. You can fuel your fandom and feel the heat of the season like never before. Plus, right now, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new customers a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's right, make your first bet up to $1,000, and if it doesn't win, you'll get another shot to cash in. You can throw down on all the major action for baseball, golf, MMA, and more. Plus, with same-game parlays, spreads, money lines, over-unders, and props, your betting options feel endless. Best of all, DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Make your first deposit and get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code THPN, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age, some restrictions apply. See the show notes for details.
Well, we'll just do a quick recap of the Rangers game here, because it was a really entertaining game. 5-4 loss, in which, honestly, even though he only let one goal in the first period, I don't think Jacob played very well in the first period. I thought that the team was very good in the first period, and then they did that thing where the team stopped playing well for the rest of the game, and Jacob started playing well for the rest of the game. So they just can't play well at the same time. the team and the goalie. It's quite alarming, honestly. And honestly, I think Jacob did play very good for the last couple periods. But there's a lot to get into in this game. Because obviously Jacob Trouba is on the ice. You got to have your head up, and apparently our guys didn't get the memo. Like at all. Absolutely rock Dubé with a super clean hit. And same with Kadri, who again was trying to skate through somebody. I know I'll say this until he stops doing it, so I'll just keep saying it for the next 7 years. But he tried to skate through Jacob fucking Trouba instead of around Jacob Trouba.
He's still 4 inches shorter than Jacob, right?
Something like that. And he's still also not going to skate through a guy who's known for super heavy, huge, open ice hits.
Every single
Clean
one
hits,
of those
too.
hits, every single one of those hits, there's 3 of them that Trouba made.
2 were Trouba.
Was it only 2?
Yeah, the other one was
on Lucha. You're right.
Yeah, the other one was, I can't even remember the guy's name right now. I'd have to
that one was kind of a bit bizarre.
That was very close to being a headshot, but I don't think it was.
It wasn't. No.
No.
But you're absolutely right. It was only 2 hits by Trouba, and both of them were. I wish NHL went back to that type of play.
Sammy Blais.
Yeah.
And he didn't get a penalty for it because, again, he just hit the dude with the puck.
That play with him, and where they, initially put their arm up for the major.
This is where I have a problem with it.
And then they reviewed it and blah blah blah. I didn't know that they can go from major to no penalty. I honestly thought it was a major to a minor.
No,
Really?
They can't decrease it. They can just get rid of it.
Interesting. Okay.
I think I could be wrong on that. But what you can't do, I believe, is review a minor
Right.
into nothing
Right.
or a major.
That's right. Yeah, you can't go from minor to major. I knew that. But I
But if
honestly,
you but if you had just on the ice, if you throw if the ref throws their arm up and then does the signal for roughing or the signal for hit from behind or something like that, they can then make a decision on it because they haven't told you how many minutes it is yet.
right.
Right. So it's kind of a weird situation there.
Yeah. I honestly, I mean, I don't have a problem with there not being a penalty on the hit because I still truly believe the hit was clean.
Me too.
Like there was in my eyes, there was nothing wrong with the hit.
Yeah.
What I do have a problem with on all three of those situations is the fact that they called a penalty on the Flames on every situation, whether it be a roughing or an extra guy jumping in or Dubé with the 10-minute misconduct against.
Yeah, he had 17 penalty minutes that
like,
game.
what the fuck is that all about? Like that one was asinine to me. Like that, there's no reason for that.
Yeah.
Obviously, if Trouba was going after Dubé in the same fashion and he levels him and he starts pummeling him and okay, fine. I get your 10-minute misconduct. I get your third man in. I understand that. But in that situation, that was Trouba hitting Kadri.
Yes.
And then Dubé dropping his gloves and kind of throwing himself at him and trying to attempt at a fight.
Yeah, which
wasn't. Yeah, we know
Yeah.
that doesn't even have to be talked about.
No, but
how
so
he picks
here's
up
what
17 minutes in that situation is just stupid.
Well, no, he got 15 minutes in that situation. He had 2 minutes from something before,
Right.
I believe. But
no, we were shorthanded for 2 minutes on that, and the 10-minute misconduct,
I thought we were.
and they scored on it.
Oh, maybe you're right. I thought we had. I thought he had. Yeah. Maybe you're right. I thought he had 2 minutes for something in the game before in the game. I can't talk today. But either way, I agree with you. It's asinine to give him. Now, I guess if you think about it, there's kind of a like, okay, I'm gonna fucking get this guy for 17 minutes or whatever, I'm gonna give him a misconduct, and that's gonna settle the game down because the game was getting a little out of control for the refs. They'd had a line brawl, they'd had a couple of fights or 3 fights and a line brawl. And maybe they were just like, okay, 10 minutes for you and fucking settle down, boys.
Yeah. So that altercation that happened that also resulted in a goal, power play goal, was Dubé got a 10-minute misconduct, got 5 for fighting, and a 2-minute instigator, and Trouba got 5 for fighting.
Okay. So it was 17 all on the same play.
Yeah. And to me, that's fucking stupid. There was nothing that happened in that situation at all that warranted anything more. As far as I'm concerned, anything more than the 5 for fighting.
I mean, that is instigating.
How is it instigating?
He fucking threw himself at a guy for a clean hit. That's pretty instigating for me.
They call that play like a dozen times a season in the NHL.
Yeah.
They need to start either calling it every fucking time or quit calling it.
Just, yeah. I agree with that, but that's a whole different you can say that about every single call that they make.
No, but what I'm saying is there was three situations in that game against the Rangers that resulted in fighting.
Yes.
All three situations.
We got a penalty and the other team didn't.
Yeah, and I'm not saying the other team should get a penalty. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying you don't see that anymore in the NHL, and then all of a sudden they just made a stand in the Rangers versus Flames game.
You know what I wasn't super pumped on was how the penalties shook out on the line brawl.
Right.
Because like everybody fought, and that was after, I believe that was after the Lucha hit, right?
Yeah. And Zadorov, who actually threw his glove at a linesman and pummeled a guy, got nothing. And so
he got nothing. Blais went to the box and then came out.
Yeah,
and then Lucci's got the extra two. None of that made sense to me.
No.
To me, that's one of those things you just like pick three guys from each team and throw them in the box.
Yeah.
Right? Like everybody gets 5 and settle the fuck down. That's not anybody should have a penalty for that at all.
And did Lucha actually get a hold of anybody and do anything?
I don't think so. I think he was just yelling.
Yeah.
It looked like he was just screaming.
And he got roughing.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, words hurt.
Yes.
But
not that much.
Not enough to be called a penalty. Sorry.
Yeah.
Milan, I will defend you to the death on that one.
Yeah. Anyway, so, and honestly, I was really happy with how Uyghur and Zadorov, and like I was happy with how the team acted. That in general, I was happy with how Tanev acted. I'm not happy that he did, but I was happy that you know what I mean. I'm not happy that a guy whose shoulder doesn't work and is clearly made of glass is fighting. I'm not happy about that, but I'm happy that he wanted to jump to his team's defense. I'm happy that Zadorov did. I'm happy that Uyghur did. I'm happy that Dubé did. You know,
in almost every situation, I agree with you. I'm happy that somebody stood up in the
I'm happy that
situation for the hit. It's unfortunately the wrong person had to, because if it was on the ice
in 2 of those instances, Dubé shouldn't have been the guy to do that either. But
correct.
But he
100%.
was there,
100%. Luch should have been, and he tried to go after the guy, but he ran away.
Yes.
Right.
But like nuclear deterrent, like that's what they call them, and it's like, yeah, well,
sure,
can't be a nuclear deterrent if everyone runs
but when
away
you think about it, Jacob Trouba was throwing those hits knowing that Luch is not on the ice.
Yes. Yeah.
So as much as I love the fact that Dubé and Tanev went after Jacob on those situations, it makes sense in the heat of the moment. Everybody's, everybody's pumped and wanting to stick up for your teammates, and I love that. But I think at least one of them should have went and held back and allowed Luch to deal with the situation if that was on the table. And I agree with that. It was on the table.
And I'm not saying that I want Kadri to fight either. And I was really happy with how Dubé came in. But if you rewatch that play, Kadri was up and on his way to challenge Trouba, and Dubé rushed in and was there. But
yeah,
Kadri, I would rather Kadri do that than Dubé.
Yeah, I guess.
But that's semantics. That's whatever.
The end result's going to be the same, I guess, minus the third man penalty that was called. Yeah. Either way, both guys are unmatched in that situation.
Oh, 100%. But and again, that's semantics. Like, you can't stop a guy who's feeling like, oh man, that guy may have may have caught my guy with his head down or whatever, I'm gonna go in. Like
Yeah.
I'm not upset at Dubé at all. I'm happy he did that, but I just wish it was Kadri.
What I'm saying is Dubé or Kadri are not going to deal with the situation.
No.
They're just going to be like, I didn't like the situation, so please don't do that again. What I'm saying is, those guys shouldn't have, and Lucha should have been there to eliminate future situations.
Yeah, or
like properly police it.
Yeah,
would be what I'm saying.
These teams play again in
a week Saturday.
Yeah, so pretty quick here.
In Calgary. So I would imagine Lucha's going to walk in with his patented black jeans, black shirt, black hat, and he's going to fucking deal with some shit.
I certainly hope so. The one thing that I'm going to say is a lot of the times when the league looks at the schedule after a game like that, they warn the coaches and they warn the teams and say, none of that next game, which is stupid. But
it is stupid with the penalties that they handed out last time. That's fucking stupid.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
And like I said, and I'll say this again, I don't think any of the hits warranted penalty.
No,
they were clean hits. I'm just saying the after effect of all the scrums and the plays and the fights and everything like that, it was clearly one-sided.
Oh, 100%. And I just want to add real quick to that. I believe it was on the Kadri hit. A lot of people were like up in arms about Trouba leaving his feet. Trouba's foot was on the ice until after Kadri hit the ice.
A lot of people don't understand what follow through is on a
momentum. What momentum is? It's he didn't jump at him. He basically got his foot knocked off the ice after he hit the other guy. He didn't jump at him. That's
a lot of people don't understand that in order for you to be calling leaving the feet, you got to leave the feet before the hit.
Exactly.
Not as a result of the hit.
Exactly. And one more thing I want to touch on this game, just maybe the last thing to touch on this game. Kick or no kick on the Mangiapane goal.
Oh, that was a kick.
Yeah.
That was 100% a kick. So
I think everybody in our Flames Hub admin chat, what is there, like 8 of us or whatever? Everyone's like, there's no way that's counting. That's
I 100% I forgot about the kick.
Yes,
I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah,
no. If ever I've seen a kick, that was a kick. Game 5 against the Oilers in the playoffs last year with Coleman. You can't say that was a kick, and Mangiapane was not a kick. You can't. You can't.
And that's my thing. Because you were talking about consistency of calls. If you're going to call something for one team, you got to call it for the other. Like, there has to be a change in that rule. There has to be a clear black and white. What is a kick? What is not a kick? Because when you have that many people who are clearly wanting Mangiapane to score, saying there's no way that's a goal, and then it's a goal. Yeah. Like, fans don't know. Mangiapane doesn't know. Coleman straight up said he has no fucking idea what a kick is, and what like Sutter doesn't know. Woodcroft doesn't know. Fucking Gallant doesn't know. Nobody knows what a kick is.
Nobody. Well, I'll tell you one thing. If you're on one fucking skate and you move your foot for any reason whatsoever, and they call that a kick, while you're on one goddamn skate, and that's a kick and a callback on a goal, and they allow the Mangiapane goal to stand on Monday night.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Like, even the NHL doesn't know.
Yeah.
Like,
the situation room has no idea what the kick is.
Not a clue. They have no clue what they're doing.
No.
They don't understand even what the rule could, should, or would be. They have no clue. Nothing. Which automatically makes the Situation Room a complete fucking farce.
Yep.
They shouldn't be calling penalties. They shouldn't be calling goalie interference. They shouldn't be calling kicking motion on a goal. They shouldn't be calling
Offside.
anything. They don't know what they're doing.
No.
Period. I don't know who's sitting in the room, but he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be.
And the funny thing is whenever they're like, you remember the Makar offside thing in the playoffs last year?
Yeah.
Like, who was the Situation Room wasn't the ones who did a fucking press release about it after the game. It was like fucking Colin Campbell or something. Like, it was like just some league official who probably didn't even watch the fucking game. Like,
right.
Who cares?
Yeah, we're living in a world where people want to be shown that somebody's being held accountable for their action.
Yeah.
That needs to happen.
Yeah.
Like, you can't fuck up a call.
Start with refs and then go to the people telling the refs what to do.
Sure. Yeah, you can't mess up a call that egregiously and not have any sort of recourse whatsoever. You need to at least have a day off.
Yeah.
Without play. Right?
Day. No, I agree.
Minimal.
Yeah.
So that being said,
this time of year everyone's talking about making big changes, which is all well and good, but most of the time pretty unrealistic. I've actually found that the smallest changes to the routine can make the biggest impact. In the same way, you don't have to break the bank to make a big deal purchase. Even the smallest things can be a part of a big change if it's something you use every day, like my Raycons. Raycon is premium audio at the perfect price point, so you can build great habits without breaking the bank. Whether you're looking for a pair of everyday earbuds, low latency gaming headphones, or a speaker with a battery that will last you all night at your next party, Raycon has got you covered. And yep, Raycon started at half the price of other premium audio brands, so you don't even have to choose between products. You can buy one of each, or a pair and a spare, and still pay less than you would with some of the other guys. Even if you know you'll love your Raycons as much as I do, Raycon wants to make sure you feel great about your next purchase. They offer buy now and pay later options. Every purchase has an easy and free return guarantee. Ready to buy something small with a big impact? Go to buyraycon.com/THPN today to get 15% off your Raycon order. That's buyraycon.com/THPN to score 15% off. buyraycon.com/THPN.
Well, Chris, Calgary is sitting with 58 points. We're technically tied with Colorado and Minnesota for a wild card spot, although we've played 2 more games than both of them. Any sort of playoff hope we have is slowly dwindling with every point we give up. I mean, obviously, the Pacific is fairly tight. I mean, the top team only has 6 more points than us, but I'm not seeing it with this team this year. I'm not seeing the confidence. I'm not seeing the swagger. I'm not seeing. I mean, last game was the first game they showed any sort of emotion since Tkachuk left. I'm just not seeing it. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%. We're not a one piece away team at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, we're not playing as a team. We're not playing as a unit. I've gone back and forth in my head numerous times over the last 3 months as to what the hell's going on. Is it coach? Is it players? Is it Brad? Is it, what the hell is happening within our organization right now? And it's hard to really wrap your head around when you think about kind of what transpired over the summer, where we had players just up and leave because they didn't want to play with Calgary or within the organization anymore.
Which was apparently, really, really, really good record-breaking seasons.
Yeah, that's clearly not a reason to stay when you become or starting to become an actual contender.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously what I would do in that case, if I was really on the cusp of becoming a cup contender and really making a move and a push for all of that shit, I'd fucking leave and then sign for less money and go to a fucking basement dweller team. That would be the first thing I would do.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not surprised that some of these teams did that.
Yeah.
Or some of these players, did that. So it doesn't make, doesn't surprise me that Johnny and Matthew did that. I hope they're happy where they're at.
Yeah. Matthew sure looks happy, let's be honest.
Sure. I mean, he's about Matthew. He's getting his accolades. He's in the spotlight where he likes to be. Because he's me. It's all about me. And so he's living his life. Yeah. He's a Kachuk. Anyways, Johnny doesn't look like he's having as much fun, but he still looks like he's having fun. Because Meredith
has he ever looked like he was having fun?
Well, Meredith tells him now that he's having fun, so he shows that he's having fun.
Oh, okay.
He's
that
having
makes
fun.
Sense.
It's
it makes
fine.
sense.
It's fine.
You're having fun, but only till 10 o'clock. Then you have to come home.
Make sure you're home to put the baby to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I don't know where we're at with this team right now. I don't know where I was going with that conversation either. But
yeah, I'll tell you where we're not at.
Playoff spot.
We're not at the playoff spot. No. We're not contending.
Nope.
We're not, in my eyes, we're not a top line winger away. I think you just said that, didn't you?
Well, I mean, I alluded to it with just saying we're not a single piece away.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think we're two pieces. Like, what everyone's saying the Flames need is a top line winger, which they do. And another defenseman for whenever Tanev goes out every other game, or when Michael Stone needs to sit down, or whatever. And I can agree we need both those pieces, but I don't think that we're those two pieces away. I don't think we're a Timo Meier and Luke Shen away from being able to beat Vegas or Seattle or fucking whoever, Dallas, in the first round. What?
I just want to point out, what would have set us up to be a contender and set us up for great success for the 22-23 season?
Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk stayed?
No, don't be stupid. If we would have actually just signed Sonny Milano.
Oh, right.
I
can't even fucking do this.
Come on, do it with me. Do it with me now. I can't either. Fuck.
He's
Jesus Christ.
So, like, where this is coming from is all this online stuff. Like, so many people are saying online, "Oh, look at this season Sonny Milano is having." I'm gonna look it up. I don't even know how many points he has.
He has the same amount of points as Trevor Lewis. Actually,
Sonny Milano.
I believe Trevor Lewis might have one more point now.
This year, Sonny Milano has 22 points.
Yeah.
In 40 games.
8 goals, 14 assists, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad, but you have to realize this is the stat line the guy gets. He's had time on a line with Alexander Ovechkin. He's had time on a power play with Alexander Ovechkin, and he's not even close to a point a game. That's kind of fucking sad.
Can I also point out the fact that we have 8 players that have more points?
Yeah.
Which would put his point production on the third line.
Yeah.
As the ninth player, right?
And
when I say players, I mean forwards.
Yes. And he
Yeah.
showed in training camp, he was
dog shit.
First of all, Anaheim, who is a rebuilding team, didn't, with a ton of cap space, they didn't even qualify him as a restricted free agent. They let him go when he was under team control for cheap as fuck. That should say a lot.
Yep.
And then he came to our camp and he sucked major donkey balls. He couldn't play defense at all. He made one nice play through all of camp.
All of the conversation was he came out of shape, not ready to play, and he showed it. He was horrible in camp. Terrible.
But we should have signed him. And everybody, so many people are like saying online, we should have signed Sonny Milano. It's like, no, we fucking shouldn't have.
It's easily 75, almost 80% of our fan base is mad that we didn't sign this guy. Like, he's the reason why we're not in playoff position.
Right.
Because we didn't sign him.
Anyways.
Where's Chris? Did you look at Chris Lewis? Or sorry, Trevor Lewis?
Oh, no. I did not.
Do that. Our fourth line grinder, extremely responsible. Where's he at for points?
15. He has same amount of goals, 7 less points.
Yeah.
7 less assists, same amount of
7
goals.
less assists, yeah. Like, for the love of God.
Same plus minus.
Right.
Not that matters.
Playing 2-3 minutes a night less, obviously, as a fourth line compared to a third liner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyways, I honestly, like, I don't really want to talk about Sonny Milano ever again.
You know what? I don't want to talk about Sonny Milano ever again either. Do you know what I want to talk about, though?
I would really like to know.
Your experience at Zero Latency. Do you remember it? Like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I do. So Zero Latency is it's a virtual reality pub, is how I would describe it. Yep. When Chris and I and our buddies went to the game against Chicago a couple weeks ago, we went down there before the game, had a couple beers, and went and played some virtual reality video games. They have this giant room. How big would you say that room is?
I mean, it's not super big. What do you figure? It's like 20 by 50, maybe.
Yeah, and it's
20 by 40.
It's all rigged up. You get your backpack and your goggles and your little gun thing, and you can see everybody. Like, your goggles go on, you can see everybody in your on your team and on the other team, and what we did is we shot a bunch of zombies, and it was an absolute blast. I'll tell you that. Like, actually running around and doing it, like, we bumped into each other every once in a while, but it was an absolute blast. I would absolutely suggest it. If you're in the Calgary area, I'd go and check it out. Did you have fun, Chris? You seemed like you were having a blast. I heard you giggling a couple times there.
I mean, I giggled more than one time. I've known about the place for a few years. Actually, I was there on the Sunday, setting up the alarm system, the cameras, and whatnot for the establishments, because it is owned by a couple of my friends. So I was there on the Sunday or Saturday or Sunday, essentially the day before the lockdowns in 2020. So these poor guys, I mean, they're over budget because of the construction of it and construction costs, and everything's going over their, over budget, like it normally does. They're going to open up on Monday to get their new business going, and life was going to be good. And then on Sunday, the government says we're shutting down. everybody
Yeah.
can't go to work, and they just kind of went, oh. And of course, with that kind of industry, right? Because you're putting on, headsets, guns. You're holding stuff. You're putting things over your head. So of course, with the whole pandemic situation, like they legit couldn't open up for a year.
Yeah.
So
After already being over budget, but
already over budget, so they're losing money on lease, they're losing money on everything, and so it was horrendous. So I've known about them for a long time, and I'm embarrassed to say that was actually the first time I've ever played.
Yeah,
because I've been in the establishment 20 times, 30 times as a patron.
Yeah,
but I just have never broken down and done the VR. And
yeah.
I'll tell you what, every time I go in there now, I'm doing the VR.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And apparently, the Flames regularly hold events in there for the team and stuff like that. So, apparently they like it too. Yeah, it's an absolute blast. I'd suggest getting down there. You got the address on you, Chris?
The full address, I'm gonna say 6100 block of Fisher Street, just off McLeod and Glenmore Trail, southeast Calgary. I'll look it up here right away and figure it out.
Yeah. It'll be in our episode description, but I certainly suggest you go down there and check it out.
Yeah.
It's a blast, and they've got a good selection of beer too. I was quite impressed with that.
They do, right? They actually, a lot of craft, a lot of, just whatever, a lot of everything.
Yeah. I saw their cocktail menu too. I was quite impressed with that.
They have a cocktail menu?
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry. So I was wrong. It's 6940 Fisher Road.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk trade deadline for a second here.
Sweet.
I know you and I are on the same page, as we both just said. We're not of the mind that the Flames need to be going out and spending assets, especially current draft assets and prospects other than fucking Phillips, in trades, because the team hasn't shown that it's good enough,
right.
In order to actually go out and make a push. So why would you spend money, assets and long-term commitments or anything like that?
Can somebody please let Brad know that? I
would like to, and you know what, he's said that in an interview last week, or in an article last week I was reading. Apparently he said that he doesn't know, and he won't know if they are buying or if they're holding tight, because the team hasn't told him yet. And it's funny because when I first heard that, I thought he meant that Murray Edwards hadn't told him, which kind of makes sense. But really, right, it's the team itself and their play hasn't given him
right
the signs.
If anybody has direct ties to Brad Treliving, can you let him know that the ArmChair GM podcast would like to have a quick chinwag? If he wants to email us, what's our email? Is it Calgary ArmChair GM Podcast at gmail.com or something like that?
That sounds about right.
Please just tell him to reach out. We'll let him know. Just fucking hold on to your picks. Relax. It's not our time. It's fine that it's not our time. Teams,
it's fine.
Evan flows. We just it's fine. Fuck.
What are you talking about?
like we don't need to start selling, or actually, sorry, we don't need to start future. Buying by selling off our future.
Yeah,
is what I was meant to say.
Right. That being said, I do want to get your opinion on a few things. I know we talked about Luke Shen there a little bit. And honestly, I think he'd be a great fit for the team if the team was looking to be a contender.
If the team needed that, I'd be all over it. We don't need it. Anyway, What else you got?
Well, everything I say, you're just going to say we don't need it.
I mean, I might say we need it. You never know.
My question to you is, what players that are on the trade block that either are expiring and you think might re-sign with Calgary, or are already signed long term, do you think would be helpful to the team's window of winning over the next, say, 3 years after this year? Because that's the only thing that we could do that would even slightly make sense. And clearly it doesn't make any sense to you, but
for what's available right now,
yeah.
I mean, like,
you're gonna say Patrick Kane, right? No.
No. No, I'm not. Though it almost is the only one. There's so many reasons to just kind of let things progress as far as the UFA scene right now. Like, I honestly feel like we need to get into a proper, I'm gonna say I'll say rebuild, although a lot of people aren't going to be happy with those words, considering
I'd love that,
considering what we just we just maximized our cap space for next year and then some. But we're going to roll into next year with these players minus a few, but these players can't get it done.
And then we're only going to have like $2.5 million to sign several players. Like, exactly. It makes no sense.
Like what makes us think that we can contend next year? We can't even contend this year. Like, so to me, like the entire UFA class, no disrespect to any of them. I mean, I would love a Timo Meyer. I would love a Patrick Kane. No, kidding. There's so many players that I would actually really be intrigued by, but I don't want 30-year-olds anymore. Right now, I want to build a freaking team.
Yeah.
Of course, I've been wanting to build a freaking team for 25 years. But alas, here I am, still without a rebuilt team.
Yeah.
A put together team.
So when I say contending window, what I mean is the corner our GM has backed us into by signing so many players like Mangiapane to too much money and Kadri to fucking 7 years for some god awful reason. And as much as I really like Huberdeau,
Markstrom for 4 more years.
Markstrom for 4 more. Like, we are in a corner where either we're going to be going in or not. Like, we're not rebuilding. We have 100 no trade clauses and even more no move clauses. Like, it's just not. I agree with you. I would have liked to have started rebuilding, but it's
not
late.
It's not conducive to building a winning franchise.
No,
what we've done so far.
No,
right? It's literally, and like I'm gonna say since '96, all the Calgary Flames have done is put lipstick on a pig.
Accurate.
Period. Right? We got fucking lucky in 04 that we even made playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, once we made it there, the team was more built for that system and style of play. And so, yes, we had an unbelievable spring back in 04. That was great. I had so much fun. We're not that team.
No, we're not last year's team, which didn't make it far, but
right.
But looked like they were on the cusp of making it far.
Yeah,
and
we're not 2019's team.
No,
which wasn't good. We're not 2015's team that at least made it to the second round, but wasn't good.
Yeah.
Like what are we doing? Like 2015, that's 8 fucking years ago. And we're worse. We've never gotten better than that. Ever.
And I know we've said this and we've speculated on this but I honestly think, and this could be just me, but I honestly think that the ownership couldn't give two fucks about actually winning.
No,
Murray about butts and seats, and butts and seats to them is winning 43 games in a season and just making the playoffs and getting a little bit of playoff revenue and then doing that every second year.
100%. So I appreciate
even if Brad, I think Brad's time is up, but even if it is, the next guy is not going to be able to do going to be able to do a rebuild because ownership won't let them.
That's been proven time and time again. It really has. I appreciate Murray Edwards for the fact that we still have a franchise in the city for the time being. However, for fuck's sake, how is having a Stanley Cup lift over your head not better than what's happening now? And what has been happening for 30 years?
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. At some point, I mean, I get it. He's oil and gas. He's all about revenue now. Revenue. Playoff, bring a lot of revenue. So if you can just get into playoffs, I can make money. But fuck. Yeah. It's so infuriating.
I thought I didn't think that was going to be over. I hoped that was going to be over when Ken King died.
But that's just the thing. It was never Ken King.
I thought he was a part of it.
No, he was literally just the manager of the organization. It's always come from the owners. It's always come from Murray Edwards. Always. And so it's, as a lifelong fan, it pisses me off a lot.
Me too. I don't understand. I mean, I get it because the NHL wants their money, and their owners are trying to get the money, but in my opinion, it's not in the NHL's best interests to have more than one team doing what we're doing, which is just attempting their best to be in the mushy middle forever, and other teams only being in existence to eat other teams' cap space and never actually contend, like Arizona, like Columbus. Like, it's in the league's best interests to go out and actually seek out owners for their teams that want to win.
So that being said, and if the league was acting in their best interest,
Oh, they haven't in
Right.
a long,
They
long
they
time.
they would have moved Calgary out of Calgary. They would have moved the Flames out of Calgary a decade ago.
Probably
The the
probably in the 90s.
right. The
Yeah.
the league the league has nothing to do with what's happening right now. They really don't. Because the league actually receives their revenue. They don't give a shit. It's just another small market Canadian team. They don't care. Because they do reap the benefit because we're able to sell out the dome on a regular basis. And when it comes time for playoffs, it's loud and proud and boo boo doo. And everybody's just like, yeah, let's go. And then we do it. We fucking celebrate the shit out of the first round. It's so good. The first round.
Are they loud and proud? I don't know. I've been in that building a lot where they're just not.
So they're loud and proud for the opening skate and the first 5 to 10 minutes of the game.
And what's funny is last year the red lot was more loud and proud than the actual inside of the building was.
Correct.
And you know what? They were loud and proud for the game 7 overtime winner as well.
Yep.
But like you got to be loud and proud.
Yeah. So here's where I'm at with the Flames organization, right? I was 6 years old when Atlanta moved to Calgary and we opened up.
You're old.
Yeah. Old as fuck. Old enough to know what the hell's going on with this franchise. I got to watch them play in the Corral, which was awesome as an experience as a kid. I got to watch the 86 run where we lost to Montreal, whatever. Is what it is. Got to watch the 89 run, which was phenomenal. Got to watch that from my grandfather's
like 4 or 5 years where the team actually had a consistent contender.
I'll say 85 to 90. Yeah, 85 to 90.
Yeah,
it was good. I mean, and at literally the reason for the team or the what they built as a team, and they said it was very public. They're trying to build a team to beat Edmonton,
and they did,
right?
the one time,
twice.
Yeah,
right?
Well,
So they did it. They accomplished what they needed, but then they stopped. Right?
Yeah.
After the Cup in '89, and then we started trading off our players like the Gilmore and the, and then, mid '90s we traded off Newendijk for some unknown fucking kid, Jerome. What was his name?
Let me look that one up because I actually don't know his full name.
Yeah. I mean, the middle name's actually it's quite lengthy.
That's my point though. Like, I wonder how many people. Jerome Arthur Lee Adukun Tig Jr. Elvis Agila.
Don't do it. Do it again and say it properly.
I don't know that one. A Decaloon. I don't know.
Yeah. So
Jerome Arthur Lee something Tig Jr. Elvis Agila.
Yeah.
I don't know. He never played for us, did he?
So, yeah. I mean, I guess he played a couple of years.
Couple points here and there.
Met him a couple times. He seemed like a decent kid. I didn't like how he left. I didn't like how he fucked over the franchise. Jerome, you were a dickhead there. Saying. Anyways, so we went from franchise moving here in 1980, had a couple of years to kind of build the team up, playing in the Corral. Life was cool. Then they built the Saddle Dome. It was so super exciting. Got that, and then that transferred into the Olympics here in Calgary. So we had 86, rah, 87, trying, 88 Olympics, 89, Stanley Cup, 90, 91, 92, 93. Flat. It's been fucking flat since 92.
Mm-hmm.
This entire
There's been
franchise
what,
has been flat.
three decent years since 92.
One. And it's not 2004.
Was it last year?
2015.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
No, it was a really exciting year.
It was a super exciting year. You know, it was one of the first seasons of the Flames where I got to watch them not give up on games. So even if they fell behind, they still fought and fought and fought and fought and won a lot of those 1-point games. Where right now, Daryl doesn't give a shit. The entire player core doesn't give a shit. We're down a
Frustrating
goal.
to watch.
They're just like, oh well. I mean, I hope this goes in. I'll try it behind the back. Maybe that'll. Ah, shit! It didn't work again. Yeah, okay. Well, cross the blue. Ah, shit! They're going. It's 2-1 the other way.
Let me go cut off my own defenseman.
Right? Let's
No
just
big
like,
deal.
what the fuck is happening? Like we got Huberdeau who is actually an elite setup guy, who is not an elite setup guy with this team at all right now.
No.
You know? I don't know what. There's no reason for him to not be.
Well,
we have Tyler Toffoli who can shoot a fucking puck.
mm-hmm.
Right? He can snipe a puck. We have Elias Lindholm who can snipe a puck. But
well, he's not playing with those guys 5-on-5.
That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put an elite setup guy with these two goal scorers,
Mm-hmm.
zero.
So here's my thing. We have this dump and chase thing, which works very well for certain players, for certain player types, the Backlund and Coleman and Mangiapane types. It's working very well for them.
Why did it work so well for the Kachuk Gaudreau types?
Daryl straight up said last year that he let them play however they wanted most of the time. And the rest of the team had to follow his rules.
Mm.
And he hasn't tried that with the Lindholm Toffoli, even when they were together, the Lindholm Toffoli and Huberdeau thing, because I feel like if he did that with those three, it might take a few games, but I feel like, and it won't work as well as it did with that group last year, but it will work a lot better than what we have going right now. And then you still have that, and you can have the rest of the team dumping and chasing and doing that, and the Coleman and Backlund duo will still put up a fucking ton of points doing that. And then you can actually have your skilled players in front of the fucking net instead of behind it.
Right.
And somebody giving them the puck.
Somebody giving them the puck so they can shoot.
Mm-hmm. As much as I like Dubé, he's a perfectly fine middle six forward, but he's...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I am absolutely one of the people who's going to eat crow on me calling out Dubé. I won't eat crow. Sorry. I'll just...
No, you've already eaten crow this year. You don't need to anymore. We're good.
I'll call it like it is. He's playing well.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it continues.
Mm-hmm. He's not a first-line player.
He's not a first-line player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's not lighting up the league. Yeah. So yeah. Okay.
He would be.
You're right. You're right. No crow eating, Dylan. Nice try.
He would be a perfectly fine player with Kadri and whoever else would be on that line.
That's another one, right? Our top three lines can be any one of the 9 players.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a problem.
I want to see. I know that it didn't work great at the beginning of the season, but I do want to see that trio put back together. I want to see the elite playmaker play with the two best snipers on the team. I want to see, and I want to see Dubé, who is essentially a forechecker. I want to see him play with other forecheckers.
You know what?
Toffoli's a forechecker, don't get me wrong, but he'd be better suited in
he's
sitting
a
in the
shooter.
dot taking shots.
Yeah, he's a better shooter. Mangiapane has actually looked pretty good.
Yes.
In the last, I'm going to say 3 weeks.
Because he's back on the third line.
2, 3, right. Which is something you've been saying for 3 years.
Yeah.
2 years for sure on podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody talks about, Mangiapane. I mean, don't get me wrong. We all love it when he's producing.
Which only ever happens when he's on the third line.
Correct. Right? That's where he produces the most. And he's back on that line and
he's producing.
Which is funny because last year,
shocking news.
Last year, he was put on the second line with the same two players that he's now on the third line with. So last year, when he went from third line to second line with Backlund and Coleman, he didn't produce like he was. But now, back in the third line with Backlund and Coleman, he's looking...
It's strange, hey?
He's looking super comfortable. He's playing the way he should be playing. He's all around the net. He's making the plays, and it's good hockey. I have no complaint with him there.
I saw a chart, and I'm not a fan of the expected goal stat. I think it's ridiculous most of the time. But I gotta say, I saw a chart of how the game went yesterday, and you could tell every time that line was on the ice, because that was the only time the Flames expected goals went up. And then it would go back down when they weren't on the ice, and it would go back up when they were, and it would go back down when they weren't.
That's good, right?
Yeah.
That's a good sign for a line. That's a reason to keep a line together. That's good. So, what's your prediction over the next couple of games?
A couple of games or season? Rest of season. Both?
Let's just do a couple of games.
Okay, I think I exited out of everything. What we play...
All right, so we play Detroit on Thursday, Buffalo on Saturday, and then Ottawa on Monday. All 3 road games. Keep in mind...
Why is it that I hate playing against rebuilders? This shouldn't be how it works.
Correct. Keep in mind that Buffalo is at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. As we've always had a bit of an issue in that situation.
Overtime win against Detroit. 4-3. Like 5-3 or 5-4 win against Buffalo, and then like a devastating, crushing loss to the Senators.
Okay, I'm glad you at least did that. Yeah. I agree with your third pick for show, because like if you look at a couple of years ago in the COVID season, how stupid we looked against the worst team in the league. But yeah, you know what? I'll go with all 3 of your picks, especially the Monday game against Ottawa.
The only one I'm kind of iffy about is the Detroit game, and I feel like it could be either an overtime win or an overtime loss, but we're due for an overtime win, so
yeah, aren't we?
That's what I'm going with. But like they're a rebuilding team. they're going to outwork us. That's how it works.
They're a rebuilding team that they sure were looking good coming into the season. It was like, damn it, they're speeding up this rebuild. That's not
So
good.
was Ottawa.
True. So is Buffalo.
They've continued.
Yeah. No, I agree with all
Remember
that.
you fucking shitting all over that Tage Thompson extension when it happened.
You don't remember that at all. What are you talking about? I've never said that.
When it first happened, we were talking in group chat. You were like, "Oh, I hate how people keep signing these players who have one half decent season to so much money for so long. It's a bad investment." And then he goes and starts scoring all this type of shit.
I don't recall a conversation about Tage.
I do, but
All right, we'll look back in the history. But while we're going back in the history, how's about everybody just goes ahead and shares this podcast, gives a like and a smash in the
subscribe button.
The subscribe button. Give us a comment. Tell me how I'm wrong. Tell Dylan why he's wrong. You probably have more comments in that front with Dylan, anyways. It's fine. Until then,
A lot of people do.
a lot of people do.
But a lot of people think the Flames are contenders too. So
A lot of people are wrong.
mm-hmm.
That being said, thanks for watching the ArmChair GM podcast for yet another Flames breakdown. Dylan and Chris, we'll see you next time. Go Flames. Cheers.
Cheers.